Hello, good evening. It is Tuesday, May 26th, and it is our second workshop, which is going to be focused solely on Capital Improvement Program Fund. We're going to call this workshop to order. And the first order of business is public comments only relating to agenda items. Kim Chapman's our town clerk. Kim, do we have any public comment?
Sorry, I'm on mute. No, we do not.
Okay, there's no public comment. We'll move on to workshop items, Capital Improvement Program Fund. It's Mark's show.
Thank you,
Mark.
Mayor and Council and members of the community. I will share my screen. And I'm pleased to present to you tonight the fiscal year 21 proposed capital improvement program budget. I'll just jump through a lot of the information you've already seen at first reading as well as the first workshop, but please know this information has been available on our website, and it'll live on our website. So you can go back and take a look at these presentations and truly understand how we've overviewed everything. I guess first and foremost, I want to just remind us that we use the budget as a catalyst to implement change and make improvements. And so as we start diving in to the consolidated budget, tonight we know that CIP is one of the 4 funds. And so what I'm presenting to you tonight and what I presented at first reading is a 9.1 million and change CIP program budget. And it's close to a 23% decline from last year. So as we get through tonight, I'll overview the fund, the program. I'll explain how we find ourselves in compliance with the South Carolina Code of Laws annually. I'll talk a little bit about our planning process, and that will change in the coming year. I'll overview our 5-year CIP, as well as what I'm proposing this year after our work together through strategic plan and with staff as well, the fiscal year 21 proposed CIP. And then I'll quickly go over the approval, the review and approval process. So we remember, that the CIP accounts for and reports the financial resources that are restricted, committed, or assigned to expenditures for capital outlays. Capital projects are typically defined as projects that are non-recurring, and they're typically greater than $5,000 except for roads, buildings, and computer software, and that threshold is $50,000. A lot of our sources of revenue are state and federal grants, hospitality tax, accommodations tax, stormwater fees, and other revenues, and I'll show you all about those different sources of revenues this evening. So when we refer to a CIP program, a capital improvement program, it's what that's referring to is not the 1 year, but it's the 5-year planning document. And that's how we identify priorities, funding programs, and then schedules for different CIP projects. You remember that in the strategic plan workshop this year with council, we talked about 2 different things. We talked about a CIP master plan into fiscal year 21 and beyond. And we also talked about updating our comprehensive plan. And so as we get into that work, we will update this 5-year plan document. But ultimately, it provides a blueprint for our community infrastructure, and it has 2 parts. The 2 parts are the program itself.
Wait a minute, Mark. Fred, you need to mute. I think you got buzzed in.
Trying to, it won't allow me to. There we go. There it
Fred is on there twice.
Oh, I see. Fred's on there. Okay, great. Go on, Mark. There you go.
One is really a CIP's 2 parts, and as we look at it, and tonight it'll make a little more sense, but one's the plan. What's the typical 5-year strategy? And then what's the budget? So tonight I'm presenting to you the budget. The plan has been in place, but as a reminder, and some overview on that. We will be updating our 5-year into the next year, so stay tuned. We are in compliance with the South Carolina Code of Laws, and so what that Code of Laws, section 629-304, indicates is the Planning Commission has the power and duty to prepare and recommend for adoption to council the CIP program, setting forth the projects, and it's really a CIP prioritization of Planning Commission. And so that sets forth an annual listing of priority of public projects. And so we have done that, and consistently through the years, we have done that. Let me continue to go. So in the state law, there's no specific criteria for review of CIP projects, but I have in time looked at different resources. And the best thing that I've seen and that we utilize is the GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association. They have a document on capital improvement programming, a guide for smaller governments. It's a pretty dated document, but if you look it up, it's dated, but the information remains the same. It tells you to look for legal mandates, it review the fiscal and budget impacts, look for health and safety impacts, environmental, aesthetic, and social effects, economic development impacts, and then is there a relationship to other projects? So are there advantages to build a certain project now because of the benefit and relationship to an associated project next door? As we look at our capital improvement program, and we'll do this a lot more into the coming year, we take a look not just at CIP, but really where did these projects come from? Was it just an idea? And sometimes they are. And sometimes they come straight out of our strategic plan, our comp plan, our May River watershed sewer master plan in conjunction with Beaufort Jasper. And you can see all the different plans that we consult with and make sure that these aren't plans just living on a shelf collecting dust, but we actually extract capital projects out of these. In particular, as you look at the Old Town Master Plan, you will see the Calhoun Street Dock, the Wright Family Park, amongst a whole bunch of other street and lighting and pedestrian oriented projects. So a lot of the projects in the plan that I'll overview are extracted straight from these documents that council's approved and updated over time. So how do we get here? We took a look at current needs and available funding sources. And so we took a look at these documents, available funding sources. We talked to you in January at your annual strategic planning workshop. Council then really gave a lot of credibility to the strategic plan and gave me some confidence to move forward. Brian McElwee and Heather brought forward to Planning Commission in April those priority recommendations. And then here we are. So council considering and approving their CIP during a consolidated budget review and approval within that process. And then once you approve the budget, as you know, we just get to work. There's the way we look at it, there's planning and design, there's permitting, and then there's construction. And so we work through that life cycle of a construction project once you sign off on the budget. So there's a lot of information on this page. There's no better way to show it to you except to try to put it all together. The takeaway from projects 1 through 37 are, for your sake, there's no real new projects on there that you haven't either seen A, last year, or B, discussed and gave direction on at strategic planning. I would say that the only new project on this entire list is to actually improve Boundary Street as a streetscape, road, water, sewer, stormwater, crosswalks, sidewalks. It's the lighting. It's the only new project on the list. So Planning Commission took a look at the priorities, and while they didn't reprioritize any of our live projects, they made some recommendations of priorities for projects that we haven't started yet. And you'll see that law enforcement, the facility improvements, exterior, public works facility. And so they've prioritized those. They've really said, hey, that's the highest priority based upon funding, and that's a lower priority based on funding. As you take a look at this 5-year, you see that these projects are in here all the way from land acquisition at the top to new projects being Boundary Street lighting at the bottom. This shows you a 5-year CIP. Beyond fiscal year 21, everything else is a forecast. I would say that as we update the CIP master plan in the coming months, you will see a brand new 5-year CIP program. Couple reasons why. As we dive into the comprehensive plan, that's the best time to identify new proposed projects, whether those projects are big picture thinking 10, 15 plus years out, or they're solving a current issue and that we realize we should program. You will also see a lot of this discussion in the CIP master plan that our engineering department will take the lead on in the coming months and into the next fiscal year.
Mark, I can't hear you. I think you muted yourself.
I can't hear you, Mark.
Yeah. How about now?
You were checking to see if we were paying attention. I know that.
Any questions? Just joking. No.
We couldn't hear you.
How about
No,
now?
I'm just kidding. We heard everything. So
All right. Well, so what I want to show you, yeah, sorry, I muted myself. $9.2 million. This dollar figure includes projects, new money into this fiscal year, as well as roll forward projects, those projects that are not yet complete from last fiscal year. I'm just looking for a quick note here to show what's new money versus old money. I'll go back to that. Yeah, so fiscal year 20 carry forward dollars is 4.3 million, and new funds into this fiscal year are 4.9, which make up that 9.2. You see that the sources of money are predominantly spread over TIF debt service as the largest, stormwater, as well as some pending bond authorization, as well as hospitality tax. Multi-county industrial park dollars, those dollars earmarked and raised at Buckwalter Place for Buckwalter Place also lie in this budget. And I'll show you that. So where are we using our dollars? You see that 29% is on sewer, 22% is on roads, 15% on facilities, almost 11% on land acquisition proposals, and 9.2 on housing, 8.4% on economic development, and 5% on parks. And so I think this does a great job of showing really where the dollars are coming from and how those dollars are proposed to be used. So fiscal year 21, most of this information you've already seen in past years. A lot of the projects on here are projects that are continuing to move forward. We do have 993,000 and change earmarked for land acquisition, keeping in mind that council's policy is a $500,000 annual tranche of dollars for land acquisition. You put that in place a couple years ago, and whatever isn't spent rolls forward. Buckwalter Place Multi-County Commerce Park, that's some work out there and some residual work in addition to the law enforcement facility improvements for the service yard and security and lighting. We are also getting those pads and sidewalks and crosswalks ready for the land that we have at Buckwalter Place, really bordered by the law enforcement center and the future culinary school of the South. And so you see a lot of these projects rolling forward, and I can pause on this. I think the best thing to do is move forward into showing you where the funding sources are, but then diving down to show you really what's under construction next year versus design and permitting for next year. So if no
Do you want
questions,
Do you want to stop for questions or do you want to get through another couple of slides?
I think the next couple of slides might answer some questions. And if they don't, I can always go back.
Let's do that. I have a question or two. If everyone can hold off for like 2 more slides and then maybe take a break before the construction slide.
Okay. So this is the same look at it. It's just simply showing our use of funds. And so I laid that out earlier. I laid out how all of those funds are used and where they're coming from. And then what this does is it shows an allocation of where we're using our hospitality tax, local A tax, stormwater fees. We're proposing a $722,000 use of SWU dollars this year, plus the bond of 708. I think that's important for us to wrap our minds around tonight, that some of those are real SWU fees and some of these dollars for phases 2 through 6. You can see that there's design and construction in there as well as permitting. Those are contemplated SWU bond funds. TIF is a really great fund for capital projects. We're well positioned to continue to use the TIF. I think it expires, or not, I think it expires in 2026, and we're proposing a $2.3 million use of TIF this year. And then so on and so forth. I put the fund balance slide on there in case there's any questions. And then Mayor, Council, really the next slides are truly explaining what is proposed to be under construction for 21 versus design, permitting, construction versus just design and permitting. And so, Mayor, if you had a question or if others have a question, I can pause right now.
Yeah, let's pause. I can't see everybody. So are there questions right now? Let me just start down the road. Dan?
Yeah, just a couple. One thing that we had talked about previously, some months ago, maybe last year, was something to do to fix the Stony Crest area, potentially with the county and the Beaufort Jasper Water Sewer Authority as a partnership. I don't know where we are with that, and I know that, and Mark, remind me, I know that Fred and I had talked about MC Riley a year ago, or maybe even during a strategic workshop, the park. And I don't know, I think maybe you had alluded to the fact the county didn't know whether they were interested in letting that go to us or not. Anyway, just an update, please.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
I'll answer the park one first. So since that time, and I've talked with Ms. Jacobs as well as others at the county about perhaps transferring ownership of Michael C. Riley Park to the town of Bluffton. I know that the county is interested in keeping that asset on their asset list, but that they are also very aware of our interest to really redevelop that park. Right before all of this COVID outbreak sent a lot of folks home and other places working, Scott Marshall and I had just started some really good conversations with the county, including Shannon Loper, to master plan, or I would say to remaster plan Michael C. Riley. I'll check on that. I know that the next step, and Shannon and I have traded some emails over the last couple of months of getting their consultant moving forward. I'll check to see where they're at on that. I anticipate seeing a master plan, or at least a preliminary master plan, and not before too long. The Stony Crest, the old Palmetto Bluff Road, remembering back several months ago, we met with the county. You all met as a council with Beaufort County Council, and there was discussion of sharing costs and the responsibility to improve Stony Crest from septic to public sewer. There was discussions about sharing a third between the town, the county, and Beaufort Jasper. Well, as I prepared this budget, I realized, and in communication with both Beaufort Jasper and Beaufort County, they haven't put that third third proposal in their CIP. I believe as that materializes into the coming year, that I would bring that back to you as a budget amendment into the CIP. And so I would propose that that be the way to tackle that issue. Putting it in our plan right now, I simply don't have confirmed numbers, nor do I have the understanding that Beaufort Jasper or Beaufort County have the funds for that project this year. I understand, I don't want to speak for Beaufort Jasper, but I understand that those funds weren't in this current fiscal year budget. So I believe that's a budget amendment coming forward.
Anything else, Dan?
No, that's good. Thank you.
Okay, Fred, anything right now?
Nothing for me.
Larry, anything, or is that your phone ringing?
Yes,
Okay.
Mayor, it's not my phone ringing, but I do have one question or two here.
Go for it.
The first one, Mark, and this is information mostly, I guess. So as we work to accomplish our known goal, you know, and to work to get some of these areas, such as old Pamela Bluff Road and the headwaters and all that, I was extremely excited at that time to hear Beaufort Jasper Water and the county also, you know, saying, yeah, well, maybe we can do this. So just getting those three entities to the table in an agreement of somewhat, you know, not the final project, but to say, yes, this is what we've got to do. Where are we? You know, I mean, are we still in the playing, or we're, you know, basically I'm asking if we don't consider that at all in this budget, is it just wait till next year? Let's see if minds change, or if this is a possibility. I think it's quite obvious that this is something that needs to happen. And I know Brian's worked very hard on it, and I have personally, and, you know, not saying that you can do anything, but maybe just a little explanation how do we move forward, you know, for the next 12 months if we say, well, we don't have any money for it. Sorry to put you on the spot like that.
Yeah, well, you're not, and you know, first and foremost, I can't speak for other organizations. I of course can't speak for Beaufort County or Beaufort Jasper. I do know that it's a priority of theirs. I know that it's in this, particularly with Beaufort Jasper, we have compared capital project priorities as part of that, and I reviewed it earlier with you, that, you know, this work in the May River Watershed Sewer Master Plan with Beaufort Jasper, we've compared those notes. I have some preliminary budget numbers, but I don't have a firm commitment with letter in hand that yes, Beaufort Jasper and Beaufort County will move forward with that this fiscal year. I anticipated getting that together and then bringing it forward as a budget amendment. You know, we amend the budget a couple different times a year, and I think that's an appropriate time to let everybody catch up with what's going on. Our capital project program, with the exception of those projects, are things we've been working on for a long time. We know our numbers. We know we've got to finish some projects. Not knowing where council is as I plan a budget with the stormwater utility fee, it's hard to really plan a lot of that, especially knowing that that's not in the Beaufort Jasper budget right now. So I think I have some work to do, to make sure that it's prioritized at a staff level post our joint meeting. So.
Right. Well, and that's all I'm saying. You know, I don't know if there's anything that we could include in this budget as far as how do we figure it out. I think it's something that, you know, and I've told you this and the rest of council and the whole world, we know that's a problem, and the only way we're going to get anything done is to bite the bullet, so to speak, and make a commitment. I know with our stormwater utility fees being dropped down from 150 to 115, maybe where that went. I'm just one, but we worked for a long time to try to figure out where we could get the money to make something like this happen in our bonding capabilities. But anyway, I'm not mad with anybody. I just wanted to bring it up. The other thing that I have a little question on is the Buckwalter Place, the police department improvements. I thought I was under the impression that when we made our deal with CETA, you know, the new, I think it was CETA. Is that what you call them?
Southeastern, CETA. Yes, sir.
Southeastern, I'm sorry. Yeah. That the improvements, you know, in exchange for our donations of stormwater properties and easements, and, you know, we were kind of handling what would need to be done at the police department. Maybe I just misunderstood it. I'm just saying the money to be spent there.
Correct.
I thought that was already done.
That in my understanding and from my position, the scope of work at the law enforcement center to put a service yard and make those improvements in the service yard and get those pads ready was not part of the scope with CETA. What was part of the scope with CETA was road improvements, roundabout, park, Don Ryan Center, those types of things.
The stormwater part of it.
Yes.
Right.
More or less the partnership construction agreement did not include our property by itself, the law enforcement center and those pad sites.
Right. Okay, thank you. I'm good.
Okay, Bridget, anything?
Yeah, just some comments, Mark. I have 3, and I'll just get it out, and you can give me some feedback on it. In regards to the stormwater projects, I just had a question in knowing that the one of the components for it is that you know, projects that are for the greater good of the of your area are allowed. I had a question in terms of, could we get some ideas of projects for stormwater that go outside of just installing sewer in areas that don't have it? So I'm looking at green initiatives that some other towns have done, or seeing if and where we can implement things like catch basins and other things, and maybe what those projects would cost, if we could look at something like that. Also seeing that we've done some of the streetscapes, and I know Boundary is on the list to do some improvements there. I was wondering if there's consideration at additional streets that we would look at, because I know often some people feel that Bluffton is more than just Old Town, so they would like to see some of those projects or some of the things that we're doing in other areas, trying to go out into some of those additional spaces. And then the last comment that I had was more so about adding more public amenities in the area, and not necessarily big projects, but if we look at some of our current parks and doing things like, you know, maybe adding more picnic spaces, or adding like stationary grills, things like that. I didn't know where that would fit here in our current budget, or if that would be something for like a future project on the next fiscal year.
Okay. Thank you. I'll answer those in order. Stormwater projects beyond sewer, green initiatives. So we've taken, you know, as one example, Melon Champ, the pervious materials used on Melon Champ include a lot of those green initiatives, that water neutral site material. We also have that plan for Calhoun Street. But to your point, there's a lot more we can do, I think, as a priority order. Once, council's collective goal has always been public sewer first and foremost. However, when we build streets and parks, we're always retrofitting stormwater. I think there's a lot to do beyond the basics. What's exciting is that we anticipate 100% of Bluffton residents, minus several parcels, but I'd say 98% of Bluffton residents within fiscal year 22 will be on public sewer. That's the basics. Once we're beyond
Right.
that, there's so much more to do. But as we're improving parks and as we're improving streets, we're always retrofitting with the green, as much as we can, green infrastructure. I think you'll see a lot of that when we bring Calhoun Street forward to you. Is simply trying to create a water neutral environment where you're not putting more water off the site post-construction than you are off the site pre-improvement. So there's always room for that. We've used bioretention swales. Even when we built Town Hall, the materials in the parking lot, as well as the rain gardens are in place. And so we build those into almost every project as much as we can. So those are there, but there's always room to do more. Streetscapes, so new streets, I hear you. Council, through their strategic plan and budget, have directed me to acquire Old Town streets, all of the unknown, abandoned right-of-ways in Old Town. We own a handful of roads outside of the historic district, Hampton Parkway being one, several roads at Buckwalter Place. But I would suggest that if we're thinking of acquiring streets, we think about cost to retrofit and long-term maintenance costs as well, and simply plug that into the project list that I was mentioning earlier as we update our comprehensive plan and as we really dial down into a true strategic plan or a true CIP master plan, which we don't currently have, which we do not have. So to that point, I'll keep that note, Bridget, and make sure those are captured, to at least start asking you all the question, what roads, if any, would you like to acquire and improve as a streetscape beyond the current plan? I think that would be the question to ask. And then thirdly, public amenities. I haven't really contemplated adding grills at parks. We're always going back and retrofitting. We're adding a playground where a playground wasn't, water fountains and those types of things. But again, I think all of these things can be thought through as we go to the next level, right? I think it was easy to build the projects we see on the screen, plus whatever projects we've built to date. Those were obvious projects. We need May River Road improved. We need parking in Old Town. We of course need a town hall. We need to build out Buckwalter Place. Those over the last decade have just been high priorities in projects in the works. This next tranche of projects through the master plan and through comp plan will really get us to that next layer, that next level of these different amenities or accoutrements, even on top of the current parks that are there. So again, understand your point, and I'll keep that note. I will also say that we added a new streetscape on this list, Boundary Street. So there's a new streetscape. And then in the parks, we can always think of what more we can do out there.
Thank you, Mark.
Hope that answers your questions.
That did. That was great.
Mark, just a couple, just to follow up. Dan hit on about the county and the Beaufort Jasper partnership. I think we all need to regroup with that group because it was 100% dead on. They had money, and I know the pandemic's caught us all a little off guard, but it'd be nice after we pass this to send a letter to the county saying we haven't forgotten our meeting of total support for Stony Creek, and we want to address it when we can all get together again. I think that's something council would be behind to send to them. The other thing with Bridget's, some of these under land acquisition and other things you have in the budget, I do think we need to start you know, if we can find little pocket parks in certain areas, then you go about how do you plan it. And I was looking at some of your funding sources, and a lot of this funding that we have in place has to go where there are tourists that touch it as well. So maybe kind of we get together with groups who want things, at least explain, do we have funding? Where is the funding? Let's start looking out. I mean, I'd like to include Drayson's circle on the stormwater. I mean, there's just a lot, I think, when we see what we're getting in terms of our economy back. Perhaps we do kind of meet mid-year, which is what, January, somewhere like that, which is going to be right at our strategic plan. So it's going to come quick where we're at the table again, talking about kind of a wish list. So anyway, I agree. I think that all that somewhere fits in, but that's really all I had. Let's see, land acquisition, county partnership. That was it. I just don't want to give up on Stony Creek because everyone at that table was like, we've got 30 million, we'll bond it all, we're ready to go. And I just don't know where that bonding love went.
Right. And I'll circle back, and please know, I haven't forgot about it. It will stay a high priority on our end. And I will definitely draft that letter to get out to them on behalf of mayor and council, and circle back with both Joe and Ashley.
Good. Okay. Keep on.
So for fiscal year 21, what are we completing? So projects that are already well into the design, the permitting, and some on this list right here are already well under construction. There are some residual funds that will roll forward into fiscal year 21, but you can look forward to these projects either already being under construction in 20, or definitely fast and furious under construction in fiscal year 21. Right out of the gate in July. So Buck Island Simmonsville Phase 5, Law Enforcement Center improvements, Goethe Schultz Phase 2, and you can see the funding sources for these projects a couple slides back. Oscar Fraser Park, the Calhoun Street Dock, Wright Family, public safety cameras, town hall improvements. There's some residual work there to do, and then some improvements to the watershed management building with some water leaks. And so the real projects that we will be designing and permitting and constructing that you'll hear a little bit about, at least in your CIP quarterly workshops for CIP, is our Town of Bluffton housing project. It's that public-private partnership to build homes up to 100% of the AMI. Buckwalter Place Multi-County Commerce Park, some improvements out there. And then you see the rest. You've seen these several times. Buck Island Simmonsville neighborhood sidewalks and lighting. And so an improvement of a little more than $400,000 into sidewalks and lighting in the Buck Island Simmonsville neighborhood. Some ADA upgrades, some American Disabilities Act upgrades in our historic district. Since we have on-street parking, we absolutely need to improve ADA availability and compliance in that sense. And so there's some dollars earmarked there. And then you see these sewer projects. Phase 1, 2, 3, and 4 will be pending the bond authorization. Phase 2, 3, and 4 go under construction in fiscal year 21, which is fabulous. We also have $482,000 above and beyond public sewer lines to actually make those connections free of charge to the homeowner, which is fabulous. And thank you to our state legislators and to really Bill and Weston for their guidance on sewer connection available dollars. So a real quick look, right? Construction, design, permitting, and construction, and then just some projects that I was thinking early on pre-COVID-19 that some would be under construction in fiscal year 21, knowing that A-tax has decreased, H-tax, and some of those funding sources that I've overviewed in the first reading as well as the workshop, knowing that those revenues are down. I think that it's important that we not try to overreach and we confidently get through construction on these projects, design, permitting, construction on these, and then we get the rest of these projects shovel ready. And so Calhoun Street streetscape, we will bring to you in the next coming months our final proposed master plan for Calhoun Street from May River Road all the way to the May River. The new Riverside Park and Barn, know that we have a group under contract for master plan as well as the design, the architectural design and civil work out at the barn as well as the property. And so we will complete the all-in design in fiscal year 21. Boundary Street streetscape, we will have a civil engineering level design and permit by the end of fiscal year 21 for improvements to sidewalks, crosswalks, signage, stormwater. Know that we're going to kick off and do a pilot project on Boundary Street this coming fiscal year as well into next to start trying to treat that stormwater flow. You see Bridge Street streetscape on there, Oyster Factory Park, some final design and permitting, and then the last two phases of the historic district, we will get those designed and permitted into the next fiscal year. We have a really diverse project list. Those projects, as you can see from this map, they're spread throughout all of our neighborhoods that need them. And so the neighborhoods that need our work, and whether it's New Riverside on the west side of this map, at the barn, all the way to Bluffton Road as we're contemplating housing projects. There's a lot of information on our website. We work on our projects every day, and it's important for me, and I don't know how to get through a workshop without thanking Pat Rooney, who literally is their fearless leader of projects, as well as his incredible group and his incredible team, Constance and Brian Osborne and Mark Maxwell and Charles, John, Benny, the whole bunch of them. So I'm very proud of them. Brian McElwee has been working on an improvement to the dashboard, a tool that he's proud of. It's in beta form right now, so it's not live, but we'd like to show it to you tonight. All of this information is on our website. This presentation is on there. We have an incredible CIP data page that really gives great information, project specific, but we would like to make some upgrades this fiscal. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'll ask Brian McElwee to share his screen and show you what we will be going live with really early into the next fiscal year. So there you go, Brian.
Okay, hopefully everybody can see this. But before we start, I want to thank Ryan Coleman and Constance Clarkson for their help putting this dashboard together. I think it's really going to help share information with the public and provide a lot of good project information that we don't have on our website. I'll start over here on the left. Here is where you can sort by project type, whether it's facilities, parks, sewer, what phase of construction it is, like whether preliminary design, permitting, construction. If it's complete, you can sort by what fiscal year the project will lie. And down here, you can sort by funding source. Over here, you have every project that we have going on in the town, and this is the map of it. As you zoom in, this will automatically update to show that. So you don't have to worry about a project that's out of Buckwalter when you zoom into downtown. It literally will start honing in on what project you want to look at. When you click on the project, it zooms into it, and over on the right, it will tell you where we're at, if it's on budget, on schedule, a project description, cost data, start date data, again, where we're at, what phase we're in, and then a status update. So here's where we can say the dock has been removed, construction is ongoing, here's who you contact, Pat Rooney, and you can pull up either the funding data or just look at a picture of the project going at that time. Again, you can do this for basically any project, and as you zoom out, it automatically updates. you can click on, here's Bridge Street. It updates randomly or automatically. You can see the pictures on the right. And again, we'll have contact information. These will be updated with each project manager. So when we get into sewer projects, generally it's Mark Maxwell. He's the contact for that. A lot of people won't know how to find his information. It'll be all shared live on our website. So we will share this July 1st after the budget is passed. And that is our goal, to have that on our website. Do you all have any questions?
Any questions on this? Dan?
No, I think it looks great. It's a real, it's been revised to a real positive level. Thank you.
Thank you. Fred, anything?
No, thank you.
I think Larry's on the phone. No, Larry?
Larry.
Why do I think you're on the phone all the
I
time?
don't know. I get in trouble. I don't have to do nothing. I get in trouble.
Larry, any questions?
Not for Brian on this particular thing, but I was thinking Mark was going to stop a while ago, and I just have something to ask so I can have it clear in my mind, Mark. The part for the improvements at our Commerce Park, the were listed there 217 or 271, whatever it was.
Yes.
I'm just trying to keep it straight in my mind. Is that the same project as the police department, or is that part of our MCIP agreement?
There's two separate projects that I've proposed. Brian, if you stop sharing your screen, I can go back and share mine. But
yeah, just for a second, it caught my eye for the first time, and I was just saying, let me just ask.
Let me share my screen. One sec. There we go. Share screen. Share screen. And so what we're referring to is two separate projects. We've got our multi-county commerce park, and then we have our law enforcement's facility.
Right. Not the law enforcement part. We went through that.
The MCIP is literally utilities and some other work at Buckwalter Place on our true property that we own, that we're trying to recruit business to. So it's outside the gate of the law enforcement center, right? So the law enforcement center improvement is a substantial parking improvement, as well as a true security service yard, security fence around the entire perimeter. So on the other side of that gate is our land, our several acres with 2 pad sites that the master plan's been approved on, plus a parking lot, utilities, as well as the utilization right here, Buckwalter Place Commerce Park. We use some park fund as well as our utility tax credits for that. Those dollars are for that piece.
So I'm just asking this.
Yes, this is the time to. Brian, you might have to help me with scope, Brian. So
I can't hardly see it. It's so small on my machine.
Yeah, right.
I thought the MCIP.
There we go.
Okay, yeah, that's better. 271,000. I was thinking that the MCI, that should be part of our MCIPs, right? I mean, if it's our portion of it, or our shared portion with the county. I'm trying to figure, is that just our portion of that, even though we're in the multi-county partnership?
Well, it's using the $500,000 that we have, really, that are residual in the MCIP, as you're asking, have been earmarked for the TCL College of the the Technical College of the Low Country. And so we were fortunate to have utility tax credits, Economic Development, Rural Development Act funds provided to us this year. So that's a funding source. And then there's also dollars earmarked in reserve for Buckwalter Place in the park as a funding source for that. Right here.
Okay. So the biggest portion is utility tax credits.
Yes, sir. 171,740, which was a
Okay.
grant.
Well, it was from
Meadow Electric, Hargray.
from
Palmetto.
the utility companies. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I was just trying to get that straight. We hadn't talked about MCIPs in a while since
Yes.
culinary school. So
It's been a while.
I was wondering what was going on with all that.
Well, the big picture, and I'm happy to talk details as well. The big picture is we're trying to get those two sites, really those two pad spaces, ready for true recruitment to our site. It's arguably the last two parcels, the last two
Right.
real good parcels over on our side available. And I know our Don Ryan Center is working on recruiting jobs to that location. And so what we're trying to do is spend some dollars to get them really pad ready, shovel ready sites. And since we have those utility tax credit dollars, we have a certain amount of time we have to use them. And the scope of work is more than the utility tax credit dollars allow for. And so I've proposed to utilize some Buckwalter Park dollars. And those dollars can only be used at Buckwalter Park, so to speak. So
So Mark, does that mean and just to clarify this, I probably should have bumped heads with you just one-on-one on this one, but does that mean that 99,000 or whatever, it can only be used there?
At Buckwalter Park, yes. It could be used at the regional park, and really there's nothing to do there for us, so it can be used here as well. Nowhere else. Nowhere else.
I was just looking for an explanation to what does that mean? What designates it as only to be used there if it's not part of the MCIP?
Development agreement funds for Buckwalter Place over time.
Okay.
Fund balance. Yeah, they've been.
Hey, Mark.
I know I heard that before.
Yes, Bridget, we need to go through and then we'll go back if there are other questions after Larry.
I'm done. Thank you, Mark. And I didn't mean to put you on the hot stove there.
No, it's what these workshops are for. I enjoy it, and hopefully I answer the questions. If not, I've got Brian there too, who can bail me out if I'm not giving you all.
Brian's the best.
Good. Well, Bridget, do you have anything?
Yeah, I have a question going back, Mark, to the money that's allocated for housing.
Yes, ma'am.
If you go back to that slide, the 841,000.
Where did that go? Right there.
Okay,
Yes.
right. I know a project was mentioned before from the Affordable Housing Committee. Do we know or have an idea of how much of that is going to be earmarked for those in that AMI range below 60%?
I don't have an apple-to-apple comparison of this 841,592 earmarked for less than 60%. I do know that the Affordable Housing Committee goal to date has been to provide a diversified project between 60 and 100% of the AMI. That's been the goal.
Gotcha. The only reason that I asked, and not to cut you off, I know the those who've been working on that committee have always done a great job, not taking anything from them. We just see that it comes ever more increasingly a problem. I know there was an article mentioned today that definitely broke my heart. And one of the individuals who's had to benefit from the $672,000 that the different organizations had to set aside for rental assistance, one of the families was one of our local firemen. And I think it's a problem when even our public officers, in our town can't afford to live here. And affordability, at what we're seeing now and what the projects that have happened continue to be built, and they don't capture the people who really need it. And so it'd be interesting, to see like what we can do or what's in that budget could be done to help those who aren't going to be in that threshold of what our future and current projects are marketing.
Okay. Thank you.
Mark, just maybe a comment as we get through this. I know some of when you go back to the funding and you're talking about, just an example, Calhoun Street, I think it might be a good idea to remind and update even new council members of, the money from SCE&G that's going to that. Why is it more above the number that we settled in a case? The whole, what Larry just said, we've all, he's just a reminder of Buckwalter Place and where money can be used, where hospitality tax can be used. You don't have to do it tonight, but it actually may be a good workshop when we do our CAP projects, just to talk about it and give an update. And I really didn't have anything else. Now, Dan did chime in with something. Did you have another question, Dan?
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say, and Mark can comment, I think to Larry's point of CIP part, basically for the most part, the county's out of that. I mean, once the TCL project came to light, and everybody made their commitments, that's pretty much over, except I know this MCIP funding mechanism, and Mark, I don't know what year that goes to for us. I know it ends after 8 to 10 years, but we're like the only ones left in it at this point, just for information.
Correct. And to confirm, the Technical College of the Low Country more or less has taken the remaining revenue out of MCIP until expiry for the most part. Thinking back to the pro forma and cash flow sheet that I've taken a look at with you as we were thinking through TCL. You're correct there. There's nothing much left to do there besides with MCIP money beyond TCL. So we're getting ready for our park. We have some residual funds for it, which is why we're always so fortunate and blessed to receive these utility tax credit dollars every year that we work hard on acquiring those dollars.
And that, to add that to the list, because I think we need to let all of council as a reminder know why we have that set aside, and probably be prepared for an ask from them. Anything else from anyone? Fred, anything else? Larry?
Yeah, I do have one question on that last comment there that I'm a little confused on, because if my memory serves me, the MCIP fees that we committed, the $500,000 to the technical college, we came up with that with the discussion, if lack of a better word, that if we gave more than that, we wouldn't have any of that MCIP funding to develop our own property. And I could be wrong on that. It kind of sticks in my memory that the reason that we didn't give them what they asked was because we wouldn't have, we wouldn't have support from them MCIP fund. We would be just basically closing the door at that point. We would, not the county, but our portion we would be closing the door on the entire park, so to speak, and anything thereafter, we would have to use our own money.
Larry,
is that coming back?
I don't remember, but I think that it's not going to affect his CIP tonight. I think that's a workshop that we really need to go through all this stuff and get minutes, because I honestly don't remember. I don't remember how you remember it, but I don't know that I remembered another way either. So
yeah,
maybe
I was just asking that.
Yeah, no, I don't know either. That's what I thought with the MCIP, the lawsuit that we settled with SCE&G. Where can we use certain money? A-tax. I just think it'd be good for all of us to get a refresher on it. I don't remember.
Sure.
So
And I could be wrong on that. I'm not like pointing a finger or
Yeah.
anything. It's just kind of
Hey, you got
what
more?
I thought that was why we said what we said. But
Well, I
Yeah,
think he
answer
can
your-
help us into it. Fred, were you gonna say something? You were coming off a mute.
No, I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to say I'm good.
Good. Okay. Okay. So Larry, are you
good.
okay? Let's get a refresher on why we said that. I don't think it's going to change anything on Mark's presentation.
no.
Okay, Mark, keep going.
And I understand what you're all asking for. We can do that soon. And really that finalizes my presentation. A reminder that this is the last of the 4 funds that make up the consolidated budget. We are here at May 26th Town Council Budget Workshop. The next time I see you is June 9th with the budget ordinance, as well as the, for the second and final reading, as well as public hearing. And Larry, I can answer a lot of these questions between now and then for you as well.
Sure.
I've got those answers, so I get them to you.
Well, let's on his why we did what we did. I'd like to know too. So let's make sure we all are together. Mark, I don't think Bridget or I had the opportunity to talk to Brian about his map, but I don't want to go past 7 because we switched. Larry had a question not on the map.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's your fault. We're past 7. So I won that one. Bridget, did you have anything on the map for?
No.
Okay. The only thing I asked Brian is when will it go live? You said this presentation is going to be on our website. Are we waiting for the new website?
My goal is to have it go live July 1st, once the budget and everything was passed and coincide with the new fiscal year. It'll go live.
So will it have its own web address like this other one does, or is it going to be on our website?
It'll be a link through our website, kind of. So when you go to the Capital Improvement Program website, there'll be a link like visit the CIP dashboard for more information.
Okay. Well, great. I think it's a great job. You did a great job. Okay.
Ryan and Constance, thank you.
Hey, we have a great team. Anything else for anybody? If not, is there a motion to adjourn? Fred,
So move.
there you go. Is there a second?
Second.
We're adjourned. Have a great rest of the week, guys.